Hi, I'm Debbie with Unforgettable Stamping, and today I'm going to share with you this quick and easy fall card featuring the Truly Grateful stamp set. I'm also going to show you how to make this really fun background that looks like plaid. Okay, so let's get started. To begin with, I'm going to start with my very favorite thing that we have in our catalog, and that's these note card and envelope sets. Come in both Whisper White and Crumb Cake, and today I'm going to use the Crumb Cake. You get 20 note cards that are pre-scored along with the matching envelopes. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take my card, and it comes pre-scored right here in the middle. I'm just going to fold that card over and use my phone folder to give it a nice edge, and I'm going to set that aside. And then next, I'm going to work on my plaid background. So what I'm going to do, I want to use my decorative masks, and in order to get this piece to stay affixed to my grid paper, I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow on there, and as you can see, I let it dry. It dries to clear and it becomes tacky and repositionable. So I'm going to just lay it down, just like this. And then I'm going to pull out my decorative mask. Now this, I've used this in a past card. I used the polka dots. This is called Dots and Stripes, and today I'm going to use the stripes. I've already gone ahead and put my painter's tape onto my card, or onto the mask, and I'm just going to lay it over top of the cardstock. And I'm using the grid paper lines to help me get it straight. And once I've done that, I'm just going to press that down, and that's going to hold it in place for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is start with my lighter color, and that's the Hello Honey. This is one of the new in colors this year. And I'm just going to, I like using sponges. I'm just going to ink it up, and I'm just going to sponge through. I'm dabbing it up and down. If you swirl this one, you're going to have your stripes move on you. So you just kind of want to go in an up and down motion to get that ink onto your paper. You can actually go side to side, and that will keep it from moving too. You can add as little or as much color as you like. And I'm stamping this, or I'm using the ink on the Naturals Ivory cardstock, which I think has a lot of fun texture, and it's great for a fall card. Okay, so once I've gotten that done, I'm going to move on to my Tangelo Twist color, again using another in color, but now I need to lift my mask. I need to do this without moving my camera, and then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so that my stripes are going in the opposite direction, and I actually want to scoot that over. Again, I'm going to use my grid paper to help me line this up. Okay, so now, once I get that lined up, whoops, I'm just gonna, again, use that painter's tape to hold that down, and I'm gonna take the Tangelo Twist with my sponge and repeat that same thing. Just gonna add the color on to my cardstock, and again, you want to follow the lines of the stripes so that the mask doesn't move. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm just going to set that aside. Just because there's a lot of ink on there, I'm going to set that aside to dry quickly and move on to the next step. So as you can see, we're getting there with the plaid. There's one more step that I need to do, but I'm going to wait till all of that ink is nice and dry before I do that. Okay, so then I want to work on my embellishment, and I'm using a Crumb Cake and Early Espresso marker. And the stamp set that I'm featuring today is called Truly Grateful. It has a lot of great images for fall, but I decided to use the Truly Grateful sentiment and the acorn. So I'm just going to take my, always using the lighter color first. I'm going to color the whole acorn image with, and you always want to use the side of your marker for the brush tip. That will keep it nice and pointed and not give you a dull edge on the top. Okay, so then I'm going to take, and I don't know if, I'm sure I've shared this with you before, but there are two tips to our markers. There's a fine point for writing and a brush tip for coloring in. And if you don't want to roll your pen to look to see which edge is which, this fat line here shows you that this is the wider tip, and the skinny line here shows you that this is the fine point. So we're actually going to use the brush tip, and I'm just going to go around the outside of that acorn, and then I'm going to do the acorn cap. Now if I look at my image, there's some shading, so I'm going to try to mimic that a little bit, not too much, to give a little bit of definition. Okay, now once I've done that, the crumb cake ink has dried, so you want to re-moisten everything and have it kind of blend together, and to do that you want to just huff on it. So you just want to blow some hot air onto it like you're cleaning your glasses, and then just stamp. Okay, and that's how you get that effect. Now, while I still have some ink on my stamp, instead of having to re-ink it, I'm just going to huff on it again and stamp it on my envelope so that I get that nice little image there. Okay, so now I want to take my 1 3/8 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to center that in my punch and cut that out, set that aside. And then for the mat, when I put my card together, I'm going to have the plaid piece on this early espresso piece, which is then going to go on my card base. So you're actually not going to see anything but the outside edge of this early espresso piece. So what I like to do is just take that piece and punch my mat out with it. It saves on weight. You're not going to be able to see it, and it saves you on your cardstock. And that way you know it's going to be a true match too when you put it on top. So, okay, now I'm going to set that aside here. Now I want to go back to my, hopefully it's still inked up there. Yep. Now I want to add some lines. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to use the fine point of my marker, and I'm just going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to add these lines with my marker. Okay, and we're just going to work our way across the card front. And this is so easy to do. You can do this with any color, but I really like the fall colors for plaid. I think it'd be pretty for a Christmas card too, if you used a red and a green. And then I'm going to add one more here. And there we go. That's all it takes to make a really cute plaid background. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue that onto this early espresso mat. But because I've cut out a circle here from the center of it, I'm just going to put my glue around the outside edge so that I make sure that it doesn't squeeze through onto my paper. And I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to glue it down with my Tombow, which is my favorite glue. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is stamp the sentiment. I really wanted my plaid background to show a lot, so I decided to use a piece of our cardstock vellum. And I just want to have a little banner here because that way you really see the beauty of this plaid background. So I'm just going to take a piece that I cut to match the width of my plaid piece, and I'm going to be using StazOn. Our dye inks, I don't know, it might smudge, so I wanted to go with something a little more permanent. So I'm going to use my Truly Grateful stamp. And anytime I mount my stamps myself, I don't always get it straight. So I always use my grid paper to check to see how straight I mounted it. So if you just line up the edge of your wood stamp, I can see that it's going downhill a little bit. See how it's not straight? So I just need to adjust for that when I stamp here. So I'm just going to take it and just rotate it upwards a little bit. You could also use your Stamp-A-Majig, but it's not necessary. So there we go. Now that I have that, I want to set that aside to dry a little bit. I don't want it to smudge after I've managed to stamp it pretty straight. I can go ahead and put my dimensionals on the back of this piece here. And now I'm going to want to notch out a little triangle here. So my favorite way to do this is to use my paper snips. I know some people like to use a square punch, and they can use the corner of that to do it, but I never seem to be able to get that to work right. So the easiest way for me is just to come straight up in the middle and then take from each corner and come right up to that cut line. And there you go. I need to take my my piercing mat here and my piercing tool, which I have here, and I want to put in two lines or not two lines, two dots, actually two holes to hold my mini brads. So I'm going to actually put it right on here where I want it. With the vellum, you can see through it to see any adhesive that you use. So I'm going to use brads, and I'm just going to poke through. I'm eyeballing it, but I'm also using the line of this plaid piece to figure out where I want my holes to be. Always make sure that you put this little safety piece back on. These are very, very, very sharp. Okay, so now I just want to take, and while I have that on my piercing mat, go ahead and take out two brads. You can actually even go right down into the piercing mat. Get them both in there. And then flip it over. And open those brads up. Sometimes it helps to use your bone folder. And then I'm going to be attaching this piece with a dimensional. So I like to take the dimensional and layer it over top of one prong from that brad to hold that in place. And that way it won't rotate around to the front. Okay, so then it looks like that. Now to assemble the whole card, I'm going to go back to my card base here, making sure that the fold is on the left, and I'm going to remove the stickers from the dimensionals. I'm just going to center that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my embellishment here. And I'm going to center that. Just like that. And there you go. A quick and easy card with this nice plaid background. Great fall card to send to anyone. It could be great for Thanksgiving. Truly grateful. You could write in what you're thankful for to the people that you love and brighten their day. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you'd like the project sheet for this card, I'm a little delayed getting my newsletter out this week. My kids are going back to school on Monday, and we had registration and school supply shopping, so I apologize for the lateness of getting this out, but look for that email to come later today, and I hope you give this a try. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.